Welcome to the Citizen, the Alpha 3.11 and the PTU. We are finally arrived at the public test universe and could especially take a closer look at the new Esperia Talon. The Talon is released in the public test universe for all who have already bought it. That means if you are an owner of the Talon, you can use it in the test universe and fly it directly. We are looking at the normal Talon here, and that means the Shrike version is not shown in this video. However, the two versions differ only in some minor details. That means the armament is different, the weapon hardpoints of the Shrike are much smaller, and it has several bigger missile blocks for that. Another optical difference is the coloring. The Talon has a more greenish shimmering coloring, and the Shrike version is in the purple area. The new coloring, which has a more adaptive effect, is more in the mother of pearl area, which means that we have a different light incidence. The color changes and it shimmers a little bit differently. The whole thing looks very well done, and I'm looking forward to see more ships going into this direction. Optically, it is an absolute highlight. The Talon is a light fighter and comes from Esperia, which is why it is related and similar to the Prowler, especially in the cockpit area. We reach the cockpit of this single-seater directly in front, and the seat extends nicely here. The animation is well done, but during this first test there was also the possibility that the cockpit was still closed and then we entered a closed cockpit. And the topic with the self-opening cockpit unfortunately continues in 3.12, at least with the Talon. The cockpit regularly opens up in the middle of a fight or in the middle of a flight, and we have a relatively intensive view into space. But enough about the hangar. We'll take off with the Talon and take a closer look at you. Especially in daylight and with the appropriate light, the Talon looks really good, and the design of the wings is simply really reminiscent of a bird of prey. The different flight modes are displayed accurately. Depending on whether we are in landing mode, VTOL or flight mode, the springs fold out or fold in the wings a little differently. The whole thing is rather mounted on the shoulders in front, and here we quickly recognize which flight or landing mode we are in. However, the rear wings of the attachments do not seem to be very stable, and it has already been confirmed that the Talon can take less and not too many hits, especially when we have contact with another ship or an asteroid. For example, these wings break off quite quickly and are no longer present. From this point of view, the attachment of the weapon hardpoints along the wings on the hull of the ship is very well chosen. They are therefore available for us for a longer period of time, even if we lose one or the other wing. As far as the design language and the look is concerned, the Talon, as already mentioned, is oriented towards the Prowler, and the design continues here, especially with the cockpit. With its iconic beak and also the wings, which are movable to the side, it is similar to a Prowler, but looks a bit fragile here. However, the Talon is also a light fighter. Especially when you have a shadow cast on the ground like here, you can clearly see that is a bird of prey. And with the greenish color, probably a Romulan one. But let's have a quick look at the standard components. These are relatively good, which means that we have almost exclusively used military components. The only notable thing here is that we don't have any alien shields, as for example in the Banu Defender. Here we have used a normal Ostov military shield. The armament is standard with two level 4 hardpoints, which are equipped with level 3 gimbaled weapons. These are also the typical Esperia cannons. For our first trip we changed it into a fixed loadout and played here with laser repeaters. The cockpit of the Talon is quite well built, but in the upper part we have a lot of space that is covered. This is due to the design, and that means the shape of the beak, and we have to struggle with the extended cockpit here. When it's retracted, the view is a bit better and we can see outside through the screens. Because the Talon has no windows, but like the Prowler, also monitors and a camera system installed. If we suffer damage or are exposed to an EMP, we have no visibility here. However, this does not prevent us from seeing outside. The bug with the open cockpit can currently be fixed by closing the exterior by manual, and then our cockpit will retract for a certain time. Concerning the firepower, we have a lot of possibilities with the 2 level 4 hardpoints. I would recommend a fixed loadout, but if you are new in the game, you can leave it with the gimbal level 3 weapons. These are also quite powerful, and the standard armament with the typical Esperia cannons promise relatively generous damage. However, fixed weapons have the advantage of dealing even more damage, and because of the enormous agility, I would place the Talon between the Arrow and the Gladius. It is definitely an acceptable opponent in PvE combat. After the first few minutes of playing, the Talon is definitely an interesting fighter, and I will definitely take a closer look at it. And of course, the whole thing will be available in a detailed ship guide. Whether the Talon is worthwhile, with which configuration I would recommend it, and what you can do with it here. But first of all, the Talon has no interior space and no cargo hold, so delivery missions or even cargo trade or drug smuggling are not necessary, and we will be able to use the Talon mainly in combat. And so far I have noticed that the agility of the Talon is very high. In a space battle we can roll very fast or turn our nose towards the enemy. I would say that the Talon can be placed just above an Arrow as far as these areas are concerned. I would also place the Talon between an Arrow and the Gladius, because concerning the shield capacity and the possibility to take hits, with its 2-size small shields it can be placed a bit below in the area of a Gladius. The attachments are relatively easy to shoot down, which means we might lose a wing very quickly, but no firepower here because the guns are mounted below the fuselage. In atmospheric flight, the Talon behaves as you would expect from a light fighter, but a little less agile than other light fighters, which means it turns and rolls very fast, but fast and abrupt changes of direction are not the Talon's real strength. I hope you enjoyed the video and you leave me a like and a subscribe here. The 3.12 definitely offers a lot of material for further videos, be it the new refinery system, the refinery decks, or the new reputation system at the different mission givers. In addition, there will be probably an Origin War 400i, and the Talon also has come into play. Besides that, the tractor beam and a lot of other content that comes with the 3.12 just before the holidays. So enough for the next week and months. And as always, I'm looking forward to your comments and will gladly answer them. And of course, there is also a current giveaway. A Nomad from Consolidated Outland, of course with lifetime insurance, is presented by Hangar, your secure marketplace where you can shop all year round. And always the most important thing at the end, thanks to all Patreons and channel members. Without you, the whole thing wouldn't be possible in this form. And it means a lot to me that you support me. Thanks a lot for that, you guys definitely rock! I say goodbye, until next time, and as always, see you in the verse!